But let's start with the big storyline that obviously happened before the game.
Yes.
Trent Frederic gets healthy scratched. You are in year 1 of your 8-year extension as a bottom 6 guy who's supposed to bring energy and do all these things. In December of the first year of your contract extension, you have lost your job to Max Jones.
Oil to the max. There was a quote from Knoblauch before we get into this too much, I guess. Let me find the exact one. It says, I believe Trent is going to come... It's quite a funny quote. Bear with me.
Hilarious.
I believe Trent is going to come back into the lineup and play a big part of our team moving forward, whether that's the next game, a week down the road, or whenever it is. But I think it's important that Trent has a reset and steps away. You see it a lot. You see it a lot of times in the playoffs where a lot of guys underperform during the regular season, but the first game of the playoffs is a new season and they're fantastic. I think with Trent, I'm not sure he comes in next game, but eventually he'll be back in our lineup. I'm not done yet. And he just needs a break to find his game and come back, because I think he has a lot to offer this team. He has one other quote. I don't know if it's fair to say that he's 100% over it, that being the injury.
Oh, fuck off.
I know he's cleared. I shouldn't say that it's not bothering him from what I know. It's fairly healthy. He's fairly healthy, but maybe there are some side effects to it. But Trent's a pretty proud guy. I think he plays through a lot of pain and under circumstances. I don't think there's pain from injury, but I don't think it's fair for me to absolutely say for certain that he's not having some side effects of that.
And if you're confused about all this, it's not Liam's delivery.
No.
This is a direct quote.
So Zach continued on his article. He said, to recap, the injury may still be lingering, and he's not playing through pain, and he's playing through pain, but he's not playing through pain from the injury, and he isn't having side effects from the injury. Clear as mud.
So Kris Knoblauch, who is our favorite liar. I love Nobby. I think he's a hell of a coach. But it's very clear that he lies a lot in the media.
Specifically about injuries.
Yeah, like he's injury Pinocchio here. Like he can't stop lying. Man, that if Trent Frederic, maybe you shouldn't have signed him for 8 years. That's what I'm thinking here.
I think
thinking that might have been a bad decision.
Yeah. I was always the optimist on Trent Frederic.
And me too. I really wanted to be.
I like the acquisition.
Yeah.
I thought that the 8-year deal wasn't going to be as bad as it seemed at the time. I never thought he would get this low because we're 30 plus games in the season, is 3 points. Mm-hmm. And we joked about it on Friday's show of being like, he's played 2 good games this season against Boston and St. Louis when it means something to him.
Yeah.
I do still believe he will ultimately be fine because he has a lot of runway to figure it out. I just find the timing of when this happened very interesting. And I wonder 2 things. Well, one thing, I guess. If Andrew Mangiapane doesn't score against Minnesota on Saturday, is it Mangiapane to the press box? Because I'd be curious what people think. He has been significantly worse than Trent Frederic.
I agree, but he scored a little bit, which is...
He scored 1 more goal. How many goals?
It's 5 now.
He has 5 now, okay.
But he hadn't scored in like 20-some games.
Yeah, I think it's at 22 games when he scored on Saturday. I just wonder if that literally sent Trent Frederic to the press box because Andrew Mangiapane scored. Because if you think back against Boston, I thought he had a decent game. He was elevated to the second line.
He was. That's why this was surprising to me.
I think didn't he start the game in Boston too, which I know is just like a typical thing to do when your player returns. But then he also played on the second line in Minnesota. So I just find it very interesting that you're willing to reward this player in game.
Yep.
But then you get home from a road trip after, I don't know. I don't think Freddie did anything terrible in that game against Minnesota. Maybe it was something I missed, but like, he's just largely played a non-factor role, which he's done most games. And I do think it's fair to sit him. I just find this exact moment intriguing, and I wonder why it was this game. And to go off his quote, which was obviously very easy to understand, if he is still injured or if it is re-aggravated, that's fine. But just say that. Mm-hmm. Just say, unfortunately, he re-aggravated his ankle and he's going to be out for a couple of weeks. Save him a bit of face too, I think it's fair to say. Instead of being like, he's a healthy scratch, but he might be injured, but he has some side effects, but they're not from the injury, but they might be from the injury. Like, you know what I mean? Like, that seems silly. I think you're kind of rubbing it in this guy's face a little bit.
Or, if, like, do the thing that baseball teams do all the time when a reliever's struggling. Like, if you want to pin it on an injury, just be like, you know what? We were trying to let him for a few months play through his leg. Yeah. We're putting him on IR. He's out a week. The leg's not responding the way we wanted it to.
He'll be back
if you're going to lie, fucking lie.
Yeah, just lie to us.
Just go all the way, right? But doing this wishy-washy, like, yeah, you know, the injury's probably hurting him, but, you know, he's a proud guy, so we're going to let him play through it, but now we're not going to let him play through it because, you know, the injury's bothering him. It's like, what? You just said the opposite thing, like, about in the same sentence. Like, what are we doing here?
Freddie got injured on the road trip. He's a proud guy. We tried to give him an extra couple of games.
Yeah.
Not able to go tonight. He'll be back after Christmas.
Done.
End of quote.
Not, and like, we're sitting here today not even talking about him getting healthy scratched.
Oh shit, he got injured. Hopefully, well, our narrative would be, damn, too bad he got injured. He was starting to play a little bit better. They bumped him at the lineup.
Yeah.
Hopefully this little reset can help him come back after Christmas a better player. That is what we would all say. But instead we're sitting there being like, the Oilers just healthy scratch there, 8-year player.
Yeah.
I just think that's a bad thing. Knoblauch did him a bit dirty there.
Yeah. So against Minnie, he played the most with Draisaitl and Podkolzin, and when he was on the ice with them, the Oilers got outshot 6-1.
Well, okay, but he played with him.
He played with him. He did play with him. That is true.
How was it against Boston?
Against Boston, they won 3-1. Trent Frederic played the most with Podkolzin and Draisaitl. They got outshot 3-0.
Huh.
So maybe that was the last straw. And like maybe that's the way we look at this, right? Is like he was sitting there being like, you know what? I'm going to give Freddie, like I know he's working on it. I'm going to give him a couple more shots here. It's also coming at a point when Matt Savoy's lulled a little, which is fine. That's going to happen to a guy in a rookie season.
Yesterday for Savoy, should have scored.
He did. But like Savoy's lulled a little. So maybe Knoblauch thought, you know, like this is a chance to give Freddie one more. I want to see how he responds when I give him a bit more leash here and say you're playing some shifts with Leon. Didn't like the response.
Yeah.
And that was like the last chance he gave him. Like that's really how this could have gone.
Yeah, I think that's probably right.
Yeah.
I think that's probably what actually happened.
Mm-hmm.
What are you doing with him? Like I like Menzies' approach when he's like, you need to find a role for him. Let him be your penalty killer, something like that. I think that would be a good start, to say the least.
Yeah.
I would just slot him as my fourth line center or just on the fourth line, be like, this is where you play now. And this is your role. This is where we're going to keep you. And I know this isn't where you want to be, and this is what it is. You're not playing well enough anywhere else. But you're a top penalty killer for us, and you're going to play on the fourth line with Lazar and Janmark. Mm-hmm. And you're going to work hard for us, and you're going to try and generate some stuff. You should be the best offensive player on that trio.
Yeah, he was a third liner in Boston and was good at it.
And the difference really between the Oilers' fourth line and third line, maybe a minute and a half, 2 minutes in real ice time.
Honestly, I don't know what you do because like even you saying that, going to him and being like, you're going to be a fourth liner for us, I think in a way that like puts more pressure on him to be like, oh my God, like I have an 8-year deal and they're telling me I'm already nothing more than a fourth liner.
Yeah, maybe that's fair.
Like it's just it's a damned if you do, damned if you don't, because you can't play him in the top 6 because that is not who Trent Frederic is. I don't know if he's your best third line center. I don't think it's a coincidence that a lot of those guys in the bottom 6, their numbers crater when Trent Frederic's on the ice with them. Like, it's brutal. It's brutal. And I think Trent Frederic would tell you that it's been brutal.
I think he would too.
Right? Like, I think this is a guy who's obviously not stupid. He knows he's not playing his best hockey right now. And, like, listen, we're bordering on game 41 here. Like, we're going to play game 41 by Jan 1, right? Right? The Oilers will play 4 more times. What are they at right now? 37? Yeah.
Yeah.
Calgary twice and then New Year's Eve. So we're going to be halfway through the year when this calendar flips to January 2026. I don't know what you do here. And I know people are saying Mangiapane's been worse. He's just scoring. Mangiapane's scoring at like a 12-goal pace right now, something around there. I think the reason, like, I don't like what Mangiapane's been doing, and I would have liked for him to be a great signing. but he's a vet on a 2-year deal who's scoring at a 12-goal pace. If Trent Frederic had 3 more goals this year, maybe we view him a little bit differently, but also like this is just what Andrew Mangiapane is. I think he'll probably get hot at some point in the middle of the season, and he'll probably finish the year with like 15 goals, and we'll sit here and be like, yeah, okay, well, you look back in hindsight, and it's actually a pretty productive season from Mangiapane. Frederic ain't touching 15 goals this year. He would have to come back in the back half of the year and score at like a 20-goal pace to get to 15, north of 20-goal pace to get to 15. Like, he's not doing that. This is a lost season already, it feels like, for Trent Frederic. And that's where it's disappointing, is because there is upside here. This is a guy that you committed to with term because you thought he could be a legitimate driver in your bottom 6 who finally helps solve the problem of how do we stop getting caved when Connor and Leon aren't on the ice. And instead, he's compounded the issue. He's made it worse. And because it's a bet that you've made, an 8-year contract that you've signed, you're stuck with the guy. Mangiapane, if it doesn't work this year, they'll go to July 1 and they'll say, it's not working. He'll say, yep, not working, and it's a contract year for me. Send me somewhere else, a la Victor Arvidsson, who went to Boston, is playing well, and is probably going to get another good contract this summer. They'll do that with Mangiapane. They won't be able to do that with Trent Frederic. This is you need to figure it out. It's an arranged marriage. You can't get out of it. I don't know if that's how arranged marriages work.
I would assume. I
think you're kind of just stuck. Yeah.
Oh, yeah, I would think that's how they go down.
Anyways, that's my rant. And listen, like Lance says, Frederic will Connor Brown it. But at least with Connor Brown, man, and I know he couldn't score, but we were sitting there feeling for the guy and cheering for him because, one, it was absolutely hilarious that he hadn't scored. And two, like, you saw the other pieces of his game that were valuable.
I remember being at that Connor Brown game when he scored against Washington. I went with BM.
Yeah.
And I kid you not, that is my favorite Oilers experience ever.
The whole fan base was so happy.
Amazing.
Yep.
Like a standing ovation for a guy that had scored his first goal of the season. What was it, game 64 or something ridiculous like that?
Yeah.
That was awesome. People threw hats on the ice. And he did it against Washington.
Yeah.
The team the Oilers had just got him from.
Yeah.
That he wasn't able to showcase himself because of his significant injury. And I mean, I'm an optimist, like I said, about Frederic. And I hope he can give you something like that for what Connor Brown got you. The only way you can kind of turn the season around, in a way, is playoffs come around and you give us some more. Because that's what Connor Brown did. And but he had a role. He was a penalty killer and played in the bottom 6.
Remember, Connor Brown had his bonus at 10 games, right? And do you remember the conversation around that time? Like, the same people who are sitting here saying you should have never let Connor Brown walk, look what a player he was. These are the same people who you and I had to argue against. You don't put him on waivers. 9 games in, everyone's like, put him on waivers, punt it. Fuck the feelings. You got to get him out of here. And what ends up happening is Connor Brown plays, carefully, and you can't do that because of the wrapping paper.
God damn it.
You have to retape that.
How's it look?
I don't know, Aaron. Not great.
Fuck's sake.
All this damn wrapping paper. It's not our fault we wanted to feel festive, everybody. Anywho, the same people who wanted Connor Brown kicked to the curb, ruin the relationship, probably ruin any chance you have of ever getting another reclamation project in the future. All those people wanted Connor Brown on waivers 9 games in. You flash forward 18 months, and that guy was a pretty valuable part of a team that went to back-to-back Stanley Cup finals. Like, we can go back to that Connor Brown season, and in the playoffs that year, like, he scored a big one in Game 5, I think it was, against Florida to keep the season alive. Like, that year for the Oilers, crazy, he ended up scoring 4 goals that season as well.
Yeah.
Took him to like game whatever, and then he ends up scoring 4 goals. But he goes in the playoffs that year at 6 points. Last year in the playoffs, he had 5 goals in 20 games. Like, I'm not sitting here and saying Trent Frederic is absolutely never going to figure it out in Edmonton.
Yeah.
It's going to take a while. And I think maybe, he does just need the hard reset of like, you need to give this guy a week off. If you got to put him on IR, in baseball, they call it like right or left arm shittiness is the injury. If you need to go to Trent Frederic and say, hey, you have like right leg shittiness, you're sitting on IR for a week, work hard, we'll get you back up to speed. Fucking maybe you got to send him to Bakersfield on a conditioning assignment for a game or 2, right? Like, do something different with this guy. And I think this is where Kris Knoblauch finally got to. Everything you've tried so far doesn't work. The same old, just bury him on the 4th line doesn't work. Trying to play him on the 3rd line, give him a role, didn't work. Trying to play him with Connor or with Leon, didn't work. So you got to try something new, and that is sending a message via a healthy scratching. They're giving Trent Frederic a healthy scratching. Sometimes that's all you need. Ty, you weren't a Brown fan at first, but a lot of us saw his work ethic. I just don't see that in Trent. Again, at 9 games, we weren't, man. Connor Brown was a nothing burger. And it kind of took until like December-ish, I want to say, for us to finally be like, okay, eventually when he gets scoring, like they have a player here. But like...
They healthy scratched him.
Oh, yeah, they did.
Yeah.
Yeah, he only played 71 games that year because he was getting healthy scratched.
Matt Savoy Lover says you can't send him down, no movement clause. You can on a condition instant if he's like, I'm going to go too. But also, too, I think you can just do it anyway.
Yeah, if you're like, dude, you need to go down and get your game right, he can waive his no movement clause and go on waivers.
Yeah, and they're not sending him down to Bakersfield. He's going on a condition.
Yeah, the conditioning stand. But I'm even saying, like, if
yeah.
you wanted to waive him, you could go to him and be like, Trent, no one's picking you up. We're putting you on waivers. You're going down to Bakersfield.
Yeah, Bakersfield play 4 games at home this week. You don't have to get on the bus. You basically just go there. We'll put you in a nice hotel room. Say hello to Ike for us. I also don't think they're going to do that, by the way.
No, they're not. But I'm just saying, like, and someone says Connor Brown is a menace in the playoffs. Yeah. And again, Trent Frederic was hurt all last playoffs, so we don't really know what he can be when he's at his best in the playoffs. Again, guys can change narratives here. And we've seen, like, hockey's a weird sport, man. Guys can flip a switch and all of a sudden start to look like a totally different player. And, like, it just happens sometimes. And you never know what it's going to be that's going to wake a guy like that up. And I did DFO Live today with Colby Cohn, and he dropped a line about the Habs acquiring Philippe Deneau. And I was like, I think it's an overpay. And he goes, Tyler, guys just don't forget how to play hockey. He was like, there's a good hockey player in there. There's extenuating circumstances, and I think this could almost apply to a guy like Trent Frederic, who, again, fighting it. Like, Philippe Deneau hadn't scored yet this year for the LA Kings.
He hasn't got a goal?
He has 0 goals. How many goals? Like, again, Philippe Deneau, who is widely regarded by Kings fans as a top-tier defensive centerman, which he is.
As a McDavid and Draisaitl.
Yeah. How many goals do you think he had last year?
Didn't he only have like 6 last year?
He had 8.
Right? Yeah.
So he scored 8 goals in his last 110 games. Like, sometimes shit just stops working. Guys have a confidence issue, whatever it is. I think Philippe Deneau is a good pickup for the Habs. I think he'll figure it out. Because sometimes it just takes a little shaking up, and guys just get into a better headspace. We've talked a lot about Trent Frederic.
I think
it's a big conversation, though.
Yeah, it is a huge conversation. I think he'll be fine. I really do. But it is going to take a little bit of time still.
The one thing I'm not going to like really give any sort of legitimacy to, the people who are doing got his payday and kicked his feet up.
It doesn't happen.
Guys just aren't wired that way. And like, especially in Edmonton.
Especially when you're 27.
Yeah, like, dude, there's pride on the line here. There's trying to win a Stanley Cup. Like, I shouldn't say everyone, but 99% of players who make it to the NHL because they're wildly competitive, and also most of them love playing hockey. Yeah. Probably a higher than 1% group of guys who don't love playing hockey. But even those guys have like the pride and the competitive drive to like, I'm going to go out there and give my best. I want to be a part of a winning team. Like, if you think Trent Frederic is just going to bed every night being like, how much money do I get tomorrow? That's going to be so good. No, he's going to bed fucking pissed that he's playing bad.
Yeah, and I think too, if you've listened to people like Gregor and Spector, they mentioned that too, of being like, these guys aren't thrilled to be doing what they're doing right now. Frederic, sorry.
What's up, Nation citizens? If you enjoyed today's episode of Oilers Nation Every Day, make sure you hit the subscribe button here on our YouTube to not miss any of our content. We got you covered, from interviews, insight, analysis, everything you need to stay up to date on everything around the team. Hit that subscribe button so you don't miss a video.